So for months and months and months, we have heard from people on the left, including those challenging President Biden in the Democratic primary, if you can even call it a Democratic primary. I do wish we had a primary. I'm not knocking that at all. We should have had a primary. I think it's unfair to not. But anyway, these people on the left, including some on the center left, like James Carville, have been telling us for months that President Biden is in so much trouble. He has no path to re-election. He is toast and Trump is going to be president. Well, according to the polls, that's actually not a thing that at this moment is even capable of happening. I don't know if you paid attention to the recent Quinnipiac poll that came out, but it showed that President Biden now has a very healthy 6-point lead over Donald Trump, a 22-point lead with Donald Trump over women voters, and an 8-point lead over Donald Trump with independent voters. So, and by the way, his approval rating's gone back up. His handling on issues like the economy has gone back up. Immigration is no longer the number one concern of American voters. In fact, the number one concern of American voters in this new poll that has an under 3% margin of error, so it is a good poll, the number one issue is preserving democracy. So things have changed, and they have changed in a big way. And they have changed in such a way that Donald Trump should be pissing his pants because his poll numbers are not only bad, but they are only projected to get worse. Here's why. Because these polls, even the previous polls that showed that Trump was beating Biden and he's beating him so bad, oh God, no. And I told you at the time those were BS, and I'm right. Those polls, including the new one, also show that if Donald Trump gets a single criminal conviction, if he gets convicted on any count in any trial, which we may not have any this year other than the New York trial, but he will lose roughly half of the independent voter support that he currently has in swing states, to the point where Biden's electoral college victory becomes a guarantee. Let me say that again. If Trump gets a single criminal conviction this year, which the only one we're probably going to have is going to be the Stormy Daniels hush money payment. And I think that's kind of, yeah, he's probably going to get convicted. Maybe it does it, maybe it doesn't. But if he gets that conviction, he will lose half of the support, not from all independent voters in those swing states, but half of the ones who currently say they support him. That's the important part. He loses half of the support that he already has that's already not enough to send him back to the White House. Do you understand how bad that is for this guy? As I see it right now, based on the current, as of today, polling numbers, Trump does not have a path to victory. Now, I had actually mentioned that a couple weeks ago in a segment, and people said, but Farron, you're not counting in what's going to happen with Robert F. Kennedy Jr. sucking votes away from Biden. Oh, don't worry, folks. The new poll did that for me too. Because in a 5-way presidential race, when you have Biden, Trump, Kennedy, Cornel West, and even Jill Stein, guess who's still number one? Biden. So even when you factor in all of those other candidates, Biden still beats Trump. Now, I'm not saying everything is fine and rosy and Biden's cruising towards an easy election. These polls are going to change. But they're probably going to change in a way that's not going to benefit Trump. Now, Biden's polls may not go up, but if he stays where he is with 50% of the support of all voters right now, he's okay. But Trump's support, even if Biden stays at 50, Trump's will go down. So maybe those third-party candidates eke up a little bit, take up some of the support that's leaving Trump, but it still leaves Biden at the majority. Maybe that's happened. Maybe they go to Biden and his numbers do go up. But Trump's numbers are literally only projected to go down from this point forward as his legal problems get worse. And of course, as he becomes more visible on the campaign trail, because the more he talks, the less people like him. And I think that's another reason we're seeing such big difference in these current polls out this past week. Trump's more visible. He's doing more rallies. He's doing more interviews. He's more active on Truth Social. And when that happens, his numbers just right on down. Now, I'd be doing you a disservice if I didn't talk about the one caveat here. Nikki Haley beats Biden in a head-to-head matchup. That's pretty significant. Nikki Haley, who is not going to beat Trump in the primary, actually could beat Biden if she became the nominee. So that's significant, and that is a source of concern for Biden. So where is that coming from? Well, that is coming from the women voters. Women voters aren't necessarily excited about the idea of Biden, but they do break for him against Trump because, let's face it, Trump's pretty bad with women. But when you put up a moderate Republican like Nikki Haley, and of course I use the word moderate in quotation marks there because there's nothing moderate about her, the women actually break for Haley at that point. So Donald Trump is put in a position where he has to choose a vice presidential candidate that can play to his weakness, which is women voters. Nikki Haley is obviously the person that does that, but his allies like Steve Bannon and other MAGA freaks have already told him, if you pick Nikki Haley, there's going to be a revolt. So Trump has now been put in a position where he could hypothetically beat Biden if he picks a moderate Republican as his running mate. But the idiots, the brain dead MAGA freaks out here are saying, if you pick a moderate, we're not going to vote for you. So he could gain support among independents by picking a moderate, but then he loses MAGA support, allegedly based on what they're saying now. So I'll say it again. As it stands right now, there is no realistic path forward for Donald Trump to win in 2024. But keep in mind that I said, as it stands right now, polls will change. But if this data is any indicator, the only likely way it's going to change is that Trump's support is going to continue falling. Hi, everyone. This here is little Athena. And Athena would like to know why you haven't subscribed to Fair and Balanced yet. So please, don't let Athena down. Subscribe today.